Good afternoon, YouTube. In this video, I'm going to be talking about an insider trading case and as well as an individual that recently passed away that was involved in a pretty significant insider trading case. But before we get started, I want to give you some insight into insider trading as a whole. It's estimated based on a 2020 study that only 15% of insider trading is detected and prosecuted each year. I don't have the exact number of the amount of money, but I'm assuming it's pretty significant amounts of money that are that were related to insider trading. But to get started, I'm going to discuss the Dick's Sporting Goods insider security trading case. So this individual had made 800,000 in illegal profits from the insider information that he was trading on. He had access to information between 2019 and May of 2021. This individual knew a Dick's employee who had access to multiple internal sources of material that were non-public in nature about the company's financials. At this time, this SEC alleges that the individual had asked the employee for updates on the company's performance on a constant basis, and the employee did respond with the statements and the effective that the company was doing very well, and the individual was requested. The individual being prosecuted was requested not to trade on the information that he was provided. It's interesting here because I'm not sure why the employee would provide this information and then make that comment, because why would you provide that information at all? Because it's insider information and should not be provided to any other individuals. The SEC alleges that the individual understood that these statements were based on the employee's access to non-public information and preview of this company's upcoming quarterly revenue figures. The individual used this information to trade Dick's securities in a breach of his duty of trust and confidence to the employee. The SEC filed a complaint in the District Court for Western District of Pennsylvania, and against the individual, the charges being violating Section 10B of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934 and Rule 10b-5 thereunder. Without denying the allegations of the SEC complaint, the individual agreed to a settlement that permanently enjoins him from violating the charged provision of the federal securities law and orders him to pay disgorgement, prejudgment interest, and civil money penalties, the amounts to be determined by the court. The settlement is subject to court approval. It'll be interesting to see what the courts end up deciding about the settlement and what the settlement actually entails. And then another point here, the the U.S. Attorney's Office announced criminal charges against the individual as well. So it'll be interesting to see if he ends up going to jail or not. But this is just an interesting case just to show that insider trading does get caught, even though it's only 15% of the time, and that individuals will trade on insider information, even though they understand that this is against the law, and there's some pretty harsh penalties that come with insider trading. So now I'm going to talk about this individual named Ivan Boesky. He was an American stock trader who became famous for his prominent role in an insider trading scandal that occurred in the mid-1980s. Ultimately, he was charged and pled guilty to insider trading and was fined a record amount at the time of $100 million, and he served 3 years in prison before he became an informant. To give you some more background here, in 1975, he initiated his own stock brokerage company, Ivan F. Boesky and Company, with $700,000, which is equivalent to about $4 million today, worth of startup money from his wife's family. And the business plan was to speculate on corporate takeovers. So his company grew profits as well as buy-in investments from new partnerships. By the mid 1980s, he had become an arbitrager and he had amassed more than $200 million by betting on corporate takeovers. And a lot of that was from the 136 million was from the sale of the Beverly Hills Hotel. In 1986, he had agreed to a plea agreement with the U.S. state attorneys for South District of New York, agreeing to plead guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit violations of federal security laws. Boesky used insider information provided by Robert Wilkes, Iris Colo, two investment bankers, and purchased securities for entities Boesky was affiliated with. The insider information typically involved tender offers, mergers, or other possible business combinations for companies such as Nabisco Brands Inc., R.J. Reynolds, and Houston Natural Gas Corporation. At this time, insider trading was illegal, but it was very rarely prosecuted until Boesky was prosecuted. Boesky did cooperate with the SEC and informed on others, including a case against a financier named Michael Milliken. And as a result of the plea bargain, he received a sentence of 3.5 years and was a reduced sentence of 3.5 years and a reduced fine of $100 million. Although he was released after 2 years, he was permanently prohibited from working with securities, and he served a sentence at the Limboco Federal Prison Center. He was unable to rehabilitate his reputation after being released from prison. He paid hundreds of millions of dollars in fines and compensation for his Guinness share trading fraud role and a number of separate insider dealing scams. But yeah, that's the summary of the Ivan Boesky. So essentially, he traded on insider information from investment bankers regarding mergers and acquisitions and other combinations of business, and he paid like a record amount of $100 million in fines. And this has kind of set the standard going forward for prosecuting insider trading, as it hasn't really been prosecuted at the time. So that's it for today's video. In the future, I'm gonna do some videos about insider trading and kind of how the SEC detects insider trading and things along those lines. So let me know in the comments what you want me to cover about insider trading going forward.